Just being, I guess, being a leader. Like I've never really been put in a leadership
Mm-hmm.
role, so it's something that I was a bit scared of. Like, how do I make this? How do I make tough decisions? So I had to really learn about that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think being in this role is really. I feel like I'm someone anyway who I have to learn on it. You just have to chuck me in.
You just have to,
That's
yeah.
just me. And I think it's even like it'll help with my Christian faith because it's,
Mm-hmm.
it teaches you to be a lead, like be a man, like be a leader and stuff. So just being in that position, like there's been challenges I've had here and there where I'm like, I don't know what decision to make, but you just have to trust yourself to back it. And like upon that, I guess that was the biggest one. Is sort of the mental aspect. I would say is the biggest one for me because you got two things. You have imposter syndrome. You don't know. Oh,
Yeah.
am I good enough as last year's? Am I doing
Mm-hmm.
well? And obviously, we're on Zoom, like we're
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
It's like I won't lie, it did break me. I was like, oh no, it's all gonna be online because I had all these plans.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a thing. But like, I think just and even still now, I'm still going for it. Like how, like just believing you've done a good job despite being online. But the fact that we have about 10 people that come consistently,
Yeah.
we have people engaging on Instagram. People have even messaged me like, you know, you've done such a good job. It's like it helps me a lot because that imposter syndrome it just gets you sometimes. Like, oh, I'm not doing a good enough job. So it's something that, like I said, I'm still dealing with till now,
Yeah.
but it's getting better. So I'll be like, the online thing is, I'm sure, like
Yeah.
like being in
Yeah.
church.
I understand. What's some sort of advice you'd give to perhaps the next generation of leaders for the multicultural society? What would be like one of the advice you give them just based off your experience?
I would say it's a good one because based on my experience, I would honestly say just believe, like back yourself.
So today we have the absolutely wonderful, humongous Nuku.
Yeah,
See, you're a natural at this. You're so much better than I am. This is going off to a great start. To be fair, I say that at every episode, so it's probably a bad sign on me. Anyhow, moving on. So today we're just going to be discussing a little bit about university, focusing on your role as president in the multicultural society and how, like, the impacts of that, both on other people and on yourself. I'm going to be very rude and take out my phone because I have a set of questions that I have written here.
Professional, love it.
Mm. So, the first thing I want to ask is, how did the multicultural society come about in the first place? What was like the idea behind it? Who were like the original members, and what were like your initial like sort of challenges towards that?
So before I came, probably I don't know when exactly it started, but it used to be a thing called the ACS. So
Mm-hmm.
it's African Caribbean Society, and they have these like in all unis across like England and stuff, and they're just to bring like black people together.
Mm-hmm.
But then I believe last year, so obviously Edgehill doesn't have the most like
Yeah.
diversity, so then like more Asian like from the Asian community came, so then became like
Mm-hmm.
African Asian Caribbean. But then the year I joined, sort of my first year,
Mm-hmm.
the presidents of that year changed it to multicultural, and that
Ah.
was the kind of hope to just make it more. Because some people may be a bit intimidated if they see specific this. So if it's
Yeah.
multicultural, they feel like everyone can sort of come in, and I feel like the name change has helped a lot because we have people that are from England that
Yeah.
want to come. You can get people like who are from Spain, maybe Irish people. They will come, and I think making it multicultural has definitely benefited a lot, and just building a community for Edgehill that we don't
Mm-hmm.
people don't necessarily know about. So I think that's good.
So, kind of, as you can see, I'm a very great interviewer. I don't know how to put it all into words. What does it mean to you to be part of it, to be also at the head of the multicultural society? Has it had an impact on your uni experience, do you think?
I think so. When I came in first year, it helped. Like just joining it helped a lot like I just joined it just to meet new people necessarily. It wasn't necessarily just to meet other people, but it had a big impact. Like I felt like I had a home away from home. I don't know. I just as soon as I came in, like sometimes you go to places you don't know, but as soon as I came in, I fitted in instantly. And I think the thing that I loved the most about it was like it felt like a community. So on Tuesdays we'd have sessions, but not everyone came to the Tuesdays. But you know Tom, Jeff, or whatever.
Yeah.
Just through friends of friends, and it just felt like a big community at Edge Hill, despite not everyone coming to. Like you'd just be walking down the street. Oh, you're that guy from MCS. So I'd be like that. So being a part of it, when I got asked to be not asked, but like, when it was proposed to me to become president, at first I was a bit like, I don't know if I'm the right person. But then just thinking about how much it impacted me, it's like this is how I can give back. And honestly, it's one of the best experiences I've ever done in my life. I've seen like people have messaged us and be like, "Oh, without MCS, I would be lost in uni. I have a community, I have friends, and it's so especially for Edge Hill, it's not the most diverse place. So having this place where we can kind of do our own thing, I think is really important. And I'm just so proud that I'm a part of it.
I think you keep talking about it as if it's like one big kind of family, and you all seem to get along despite. The thing is, though, you're all different cultures. Which I find really interesting because it tends to be people of the same culture will tend to get along, but you guys are a big group of people from everywhere, and it's not like you said, it's not just African, Caribbean, and Asian, but it's everyone from everywhere. People from Spain. How do you think that works? What is it about it that is so inviting, so much like a family, that it actually works? And do you have? I mean, I'm probably piling on the questions here, but do you have any sort of like conflicts within that, and or cultural barriers that you have to cross?
I think I feel like when you're, someone who's diverse, like from like say immigrant parents, you tend obviously it's not the same, but you tend to sort of have similar experiences. So maybe like our parents may be stricter. You may have had maybe troubles in school. Not necessarily like bullying, but maybe just, I don't know, but there's certain jokes. And I feel like the society is informal. You just come, you chill out. Obviously, we have our discussions and stuff, but it just feels like you're just coming along with your friends, having a good time. And I feel like with the barriers, at first, that was something, and even the president of last year was saying, like, it's something that can play in your mind, like, how do you, because if it's like, specifically African, it's easier to just be like, all right, we can do this. But how do you bring them all together? It was something I was thinking, but you just have to, I don't know, we don't necessarily focus on specifics. We just focus, for instance, we have discussions, and we had one called Where Are You From? So it kind of, they're broad questions. We don't really niche it down. I think that helps a lot. But it is something that I first played, how do you do it? But I think just similar experiences. And everyone there, I think they're just open to learn as well. So there's always things that help us, express things about our culture. Like we had a show and tell, and that we learnt about things from Portugal, things from Singapore, things from Ghana. So it's like we're all willing to learn, and we've all sort of had similar experiences. And like I said, there's people from England who they have completely different, but the people we have, they're so open to learn, and it even surprises me. So it's like,
That's pretty cool, actually. What are the personal challenges that you've had being at the center of it, do you feel?
I think obviously the first thing was how do I don't know if I offend, but how do I just manage all these different cultures? How do I, because obviously I'm African, so I thought maybe I'd favour more Africans because that's what I know. So I guess the first one was sort of how to manage them all. But you just have to what I found was you just have to make your sessions just chill and neutral. But one thing I did was I went on Google. This is advice I got. I went on Google and I typed in sort of like big national events. So you had obviously Black History Month. You have Diwali. You have like Ramadan, Easter, stuff like that. So I just have it on my notes, and I just find ways. Because sometimes like, do I make it a session, or do I make it so? We have an Instagram page. So what we did was, whenever it's big events, we do them all on Instagram. So Black History Month, we did this thing where every day we had like a black historical figure. Had like little facts. For Diwali, we just had little facts. For Chinese New Year, so good. We had an arts competition.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? What was it? Was like there was like the cow.
The multicolored.
The multicolored cow.
Yeah.
That was really cool, actually. They were actually all the art on that was really, really good. It was actually not an easy decision.
So talented.
Yeah.
So we said do whatever, like.
Were those all from the society?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, so good.
Who won in the end?
It was the cow.
Oh really?
So we summoned a lot of our friends just to vote, and that cow just.
Yeah. Sword right.
Well, yeah, that's what we did for Chinese New Year. So I think that was one of the challenges. Another one is just being a leader. Like, I've never really been put in a leadership role, so it's something that I was a bit scared of. Like, how do I make tough decisions? So I had to really learn about that. So I think being in this role is really. I feel like I'm someone anyway who I have to learn on it. You just have to chuck me in.
You just have to.
That's just me. And I think it's even like it'll help with my Christian faith because it teaches you to be a lead, like be a man, like be a leader and stuff. So just being in that position, like there's been challenges I've had here and there where I'm like, I don't know what decision to make, but you just have to trust yourself to back it. And like upon that, I guess that was the biggest one. Is sort of the mental aspect. I'd say is the biggest one for me because you got two things. You have imposter syndrome. You don't know.
Yeah.
Am I good enough as last year's? Am I doing well? And obviously, we're on Zoom, like we're online.
Yeah.
It's like. I won't lie, it did break me. I was like, oh no, it's all going to be online because I had all these plans. So that was a thing, but like, I think and even still now, I'm still going for it. Like how, like just believing you've done a good job despite being online. But the fact that we have about 10 people that come consistently.
Yeah.
We have people engaging on Instagram. People have even messaged me like, you know, you've done such a good job. It's like, it helps me a lot because that imposter syndrome, it just gets you sometimes like, oh, I'm not doing a good enough job. So it's something that, like I said, I'm still dealing with till now.
Yeah.
But it's getting better. So I'll be like, the online thing is, I'm sure, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like being in
I understand. What's some sort of advice you give to perhaps the next generation of leaders for the multicultural society? What would be like one of the advice you give them just based off your experience?
I would say, it's a good one because based on my experience, I would honestly say just believe, like back yourself. Like, I'll give an example. The sign language thing, I had no idea how I was going to collab, but then Chinese New Year came,
and it like, just sprung this great idea.
Like, if you believe something will work, then work at it. Like, don't just say, oh, I want to do this and have doubts. Like, actually go and work at it because you just don't know. People look, even in your committee, they may not even believe that will work. But if you believe that will work, then like show them how. Like, I showed people how sign language could work. I made plans and like just work at it. Do your research as well. You don't have to know everything. I literally researched a lot of my ideas. Was just Google searches. Search up, like I said, the ACSs. I search up what they do. So like I said, if you want to do something, just research and just believe because it's your vision at the end of the day. Not everyone's gonna see it, but when you see the final piece, you're like, oh wow, this thing actually works. So that's how I say, like, believe in yourself and work at what you think will work, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna backtrack it a bit. Going back to kind of, actually no, I'll ask you something else before that. How is it working as a team? What kind of how big is your team, and like what's kind of the dynamic in which you work? Is it all also over Zoom? Have you ever actually had a chance to meet in person at all? You have actually met in person once before Christmas, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's kind of the challenges you've had as like working as a team?
It's the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 4 of us. So obviously me, president. We have a secretary, a treasurer, and then we have someone who does the social media. So
right. Okay. Cool.
So finding that team was very hard because it wasn't too many people. But luckily, all 4 of us were all friends.
Yeah.
Like my secretary is called Robert. He lives with me. So
yeah, that's good.
And then my other friend, she's called Mez. She's the treasurer, and she literally lives like across the road. And then my social media guy Dylan, he lives again the same road. She lives.
Oh, right.
It's like it's just so convenient for us. Usually, what we do we have a group chat, so we usually make plans there. But the odd time we'll have a meeting either on Zoom or because we live all so far, it's easy for us just to meet. So that dynamics, like it's at first, it was just dealing with trust because I'm someone who I'm quite independent. So
Yeah.
it's just figuring out how to. It's okay to rely on people. And at first, I was kind of sort of doing things, myself, but I'd ask here and there. But now, like, it's I just they even offer to do things. It's very easy for them to be like, oh yeah, we'll do this, and everyone has their own
way of working.
Like they have their own like creativity and dynamics.
Oh,
so
right,
we
okay.
all offer different things. For instance, I'd have something in my head when I tell my social media person, "Oh, can you make this?" He will do something way better than I would think of, and I'm like, "Wow." Same with like my secretary. I'd like send this email. He will send the most posh, like most well written email. I'm like, wow, my treasurer, she just knows like how to deal with the money and stuff. So like, you never know because we're friends. You never know if it will work well as a team or bad. But generally, we work relatively well. Like if we have any disagreements, it's easy for us to kind of sort it out and stuff. So it's been quite good.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it's actually working really well for you, and it seems all really, really exciting. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, as I said before, and ask you what really intrigues you about other cultures. You've been engaging with them for quite a while now. What I don't want to say is like, what's your favorite culture or something like that, because I don't think that would really work. But what's kind of the thing that's excited you most about engaging with other cultures, seeing other people talk about their experiences and stuff like that in the multicultural society?
I think. That's an interesting question.
I understand that like your meetings are quite neutral,
Yeah.
but whenever people have done something like show and tell or where are you from?
I think just the difference. I think two things. Obviously, it's just one's the similarities. So are things. Do you do things like how we do? And two is just I'm someone naturally who I just like seeing different things. So it's just, for instance, I think this girl on the site, she's from Spain, and she was talking about how she eats, like later on in the day, and I was like, wow, like, because we usually eat probably like 4 or 5, and then we eat like late, and that's very interesting to me. I think from just people personally seeing how passionate they are themselves about their culture is quite interesting because they have a lot of national pride in like their sports teams, their music, their like artifacts and stuff. It's just very interesting to see like what has affected their whole what has affected them as a person, what from their culture has affected them, and it's just so intriguing because obviously being in Britain, depending on where you live, you may just only know one sort of culture, probably your own from your parents, and then the UK. So it's just nice and refresh. Like if you live in somewhere like London, you're seeing culture every day.
You're seeing culture.
But I guess somewhere here you're not seeing too much. So it's just refreshing, just for everyone, just to be like, wow, this is how people do this. This is how people do that. And I think just everyone should just look at other cultures because it's just very interesting to see how they're raised, how like Japan, they're very respectful, stuff like that. So it's just very interesting to me.
Okay, so moving forward into the future, what is kind of your aim for the multicultural society? I don't know. I don't want to get into like the politics of what's happening with your committee in the following years, but what is your kind of like aim? What's your dream for the multicultural society? Are you hoping for it to get bigger or just get a closer personal connection? Or what's kind of gonna happen? What do you think you want to happen with it?
So at the start of the year, my big goal was to make it just more established in Edgehill, and to make it a more community feel. Because not when you say, oh, MCS, you know about MCS? People are like, what's that? Like this year, we made social media such a big thing because we wanted people to find out. And we've had people from my first, I'm in second year, we've had people from my year be like, wait, this was a thing? Like, we never knew. And we've had so many second years, it just shocks me that, wow, you actually never knew. So I think making it more respected and just, for instance, things like, sign language, animist, Christian Union even, like, everyone knows about them, very respected. But I want MCS to be at that level where Edgehill's like, okay, this is a society that we recognize. This is something that we maybe invest into. This is something that, like just, and then the community also just make, like I said, if you don't come to all the sessions, but you just know, that's that guy from there, that's that guy from there. Like, we've had people who don't really come, but they've just built friendships from our group chat.
Yeah.
I think that, and just make just a safe space for people just to come and chill out. Like, for instance, if you're not someone who's like a big drinker, just make it a safe place to have like a nice little games night, a nice discussion, just anything. But I hope just when I leave, that like the multicultural society is just a big thing in Edgehill, and that Edgehill themselves know about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask you something else. You've answered this one. Oh, you've answered this question, and you've answered this one. You've answered this one as well. Wow, you're really good. So there's two things I want to kind of draw on. Is a little bit about your personal experience. You come from a Ghanaian, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Ghanaian background, is that right? And how has that kind of impacted your upbringing? What are the cultural aspects of being Ghanaian that you've brought up, and as well as like living in Scotland, which isn't exactly like London, you say, and how has that impacted your view of maybe other cultures or British culture, and how does that is there any influence from that culture that goes into things like your leadership or the way that you do things in your society? There was a lot to unpack there, so I hope you got it all, because I probably won't remember it all.
So I guess, how's the Ghanaian? So in Ghana, it's very respectful to your, parents. There's a big emphasis on like excellence, making sure. I don't know if this is necessarily Ghanaian or just my dad, but I would say it's generally like people from Nigeria, Ghana, all them, we generally have the same thing of don't just do the bare minimum. Like if a test says only get 50%, you should get 100%. Like that's how we've always been brought up. And just be very hardworking. It's something that obviously in my society I didn't know how to be a leader, I didn't know how to run a society, so I worked so hard in summer just to get there. And people are social like, what, you worked hard? Like, I thought this was natural. I'm like, no, I've trained so hard. I think just the energy as well from Ghanaians are very vibrant people, very expressive people. So I guess that's helped me express myself. Like when I host, I'm not like, hey guys, welcome to Multicultural. Like I'm very expressive.
Yeah.
Like that's from my Ghanaian side as well. And I think growing up in Scotland, I don't know, like obviously I had a bit of time in London and that you're just surrounded by everywhere. But growing up in Scotland, it's like a big shock. I was like, whoa, like I'm just there are communities though where I live, specifically for like we had this like thing called African Caribbean it's not society, sorry, like fellowship.
Yeah.
It's like a Christian thing where this went in Glasgow and Edinburgh as well, and we sometimes meet up. So there are communities out there. So I think what it did was it made me appreciate people similar to me growing up in a place like Scotland. First, when I came to Edgehill, this was the most I've ever seen since I was young, of like just so many diverse people. I remember I was at a party once, like, wow, like this is insane. And I feel like it's just made me appreciate meeting other, like when I meet other people, there's a sort of, you feel safe, I think. And I think that's impacted how I run the multicultural society, because people say they feel safe. It's a safe space to come to be themselves. So I'll say that, and then the hard working aspect. I feel like it's just how I go like I said, don't just do bare minimum, go above. I really go above and beyond. Like I do a lot of research on other cultures other than Africa. Like for instance, Chinese New Year, I did a lot of research on that. I did a lot of research on like Diwali, even different religions, just so I can cater to everyone and not just. This isn't just like a job. This is actually something I'm passionate about. So I think
that's pretty cool. You briefly mentioned engaging with other religions, other beliefs, and I know we've had a conversation about this before. what's it like? Have you had the chance to kind of even have like a conversation about what Muslims believe in, or do you have any other people who believe any other faiths besides Islam?
So I think in our society we have Christians.
Mm-hmm.
There's even people like Emmanuel from our church.
Yeah.
He comes. We have obviously there's a lot of people from Islam, and I think we have like Catholics as well that dabble like here and there. So obviously off. So in our call, sometimes we'll just be like, if you want to stay and chat. So not necessarily specifically in the sessions,
but
we will just have conversations. Not necessarily about the beliefs, but just how it's been, like how it's been having your religion at uni. For instance, I'll speak about it just like as a not in the session, but maybe if I meet them up and we're just at McDonald's, we'll actually just talk about our religion. And it's just very interesting to see some similarities, some differences, even reasons why you have your religion. And funny enough, like tomorrow we'll be having a collaboration with this Christian Union at 7:30 about it, and I think that'll be a good way, because obviously you have a lot of Christians, you have a lot of Islam, and even just people who, like I said, they dabble in between. They're not sure what to even believe, and I think having that. It's not something I don't think I've ever really had. We just talked about how it's been. Oh, we pray this way. For instance, I had a conversation with someone, and we're talking about how, like, for instance, this is I don't know if Asgardian thing. Just depends what you believe in. Like, my dad will pray, before I go to uni, he'll pray me off. Someone's like, oh yeah, like they're from Islam. Their parents will also pray them off, so they're in good spirits. Or even talking about like praying against things that may affect you, like spirits or whatever. Similar things of religion. They'll say, oh yeah, we have like similar like spirits and stuff like that. So that's interesting. So I feel like tomorrow's conversation will just be interesting to see like the real differences and similarities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think.
Has anyone been not overly, but at all like critical of Christianity from either an atheist or someone who might just be a cultural Christian, or even from Muslims?
For Christianity, I don't think we've talked much about Christianity. We've had people who they talk about why they're not as religious, and because maybe I think what it is, maybe the church they went to isn't necessarily. It just doesn't appeal to them. So they've even like admitted to us, oh, maybe if I go to a different church, maybe if I went to a different church, that will help. But I don't know if people have been overly critical to us. But they may talk about, if they're critical of anything, it'll be more their culture than religions. Because some people's just upbringing, it may not necessarily be the religion's fault, so it'll be from that sense. But I don't know if we haven't really had, like I said, we haven't had a big religious discussion yet. So no one's really had time to maybe criticize or anything.
Is that is like a big religious discussion something you don't really want to get into? Do you think it would be a bit too difficult to try and manage without saying like maybe insulting someone or getting really passionate? Do you think that's a conversation you could have, or do you feel as though it's something you shouldn't really focus on in your meeting or kind of be a huge part of your meeting?
Yeah, that's interesting. See, I haven't thought too much, but I would say like a bit of both. Yeah, like the conversation we're gonna have like in our collaboration is more on your personal experiences, so it's not much analysis. So it's like it's quite neutral questions, open ended. But I do feel like maybe I would be a bit scared because like yes, you just don't know if you will say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
If some people could be, I feel in our societies we're all very respectful. For example, respectful. Like for instance, we had a Christmas party. I made sure we all got like halal meat just to like cater to like Islam. But it's like we're all very respectful, and we're all because like not everyone is, so we're all very respectful. So I feel like if we did have a conversation, no one would attack. But it is something that I do think, I don't know if I can have. Like, it's easier to have, like I said, if you're at, like, a coffee with a few friends. then focus it. And even this topic, I was a bit, should I do religion?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how people feel, but I feel like the people we have, they're quite open. So let's just go for it, and then, you know, whatever comes from it.
Yeah, maybe that can be something you could be open for in the future.
Yeah.
And I guess it gives you an avenue to talk about your own faith as well, which is really great. I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Nuku. You have been absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
You've been very informative, and it's really great to see kind of your passion and your skill and how much you've learned just being part of the multicultural society. Before we go, is there anything that you would like prayer for?
Say specifically for the society.
Well, it can be either for you personally or for society. It could be assignments. Like, I know you've just come back from Scotland, and you asked for prayer for getting back, and you managed to make it eventually. It was like a week late. But like anything, yeah.
I would say, I would say for everyone, just that because it's a challenging time, you know, during this season, you know, online and stuff. So just anyone, including myself, who are maybe struggling with assignments, maybe it's packing on. I pray that, you know, they have a steady mind and know that things will be well. I guess I pray for our discussion tomorrow. Like how we're talking about, we don't know how it's going to go. It could go left, it could go well. I pray that discussion we have, you know, like people are open. Maybe even, like there's people in my society, I think I've talked to you about, who are, they said they grew up Christian but they don't know of the right church. Maybe this discussion will, you know, seeing people talk, they'll be like, oh, maybe I want to get into this more. So I think that's something that I want for certain people. Obviously it's up to them, but like that's something I want for certain people tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be praying. So yeah, thank you very much, and good night, good morning, good day. Yeah.